Hi, and welcome to this week's issue of Crosshairs, the program at ThePrint where we discuss the pressing national and regional security issue of the week. I'm Praveen Swami, and I'm ThePrint's national security editor. With me, the eminent columnist Gul Bukhari, who's joining us from London today, and the editor and columnist Murtaza Solangi, who's going to be covering the issue we're going to be talking about today, which is External Affairs Minister Bilawal Bhutto. In Pakistan, they call it Foreign Minister. Bilawal Bhutto is going to be coming to India very shortly to attend a meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, not a bilateral meeting, not an India-Pakistan meeting. This is part of a forum, but nonetheless of great interest because it is the first visit by a Pakistani minister in a very long time, very, very many years. And secondly, because of some interesting features of Pakistani politics that we'll be discussing. I'll start with you, if I may, Murtaza. You've been reporting on this. I've been reading some of your thoughts on this. How should we interpret Bilawal's coming? Just last week, a meeting of defense ministers at which the Pakistani defense minister did not come. Now, next week, Bilawal will come. What is the significance of this? And should we see it just as a part of a SCO normalization process, or is there some sort of bigger India-Pakistan message that we should be looking for?
Well, I'm told that Mr. Ahmad Malik, he's Special Assistant to the Prime Minister of Pakistan on Defense. He did attend virtually that meeting. So Pakistan has not missed any meeting, either virtually, mostly virtually. This would be an actual meeting where a top diplomat of Pakistan will come. Basically, it's a multilateral event that Pakistan cannot miss. Because of its great relationship with China, who is the moving spirit behind SCO, and Russia, of course, in the region. But since there is quite a regional interest, including Turkey and Saudi Arabia, so that's why Pakistan cannot, as Ms. Hina Kar said, lock herself out of this forum. So Pakistan will attend. But given the political sensibilities both in India and Pakistan, Bilawal will most probably not hold any bilateral meeting on the sideline, and it will remain a multilateral participation. But what Bilawal has already categorically said, that since SCO does not permit to raise any bilateral issues on the SCO platform, so there will be no brouhaha and no sparks flying around when Bilawal comes.
Well, as a journalist, I have to say I'm very, very sad to hear that because there'll be that much less to report. As a citizen of the two countries, I guess people would mostly be happy if politicians did not escalate things. But Gul, that leads me to the question I wanted to ask you. Just a few weeks ago, Bilawal Bhutto, using some very strong language about the Indian Prime Minister at the United Nations General Assembly, called him the butcher of Gujarat. The fascism word was liberally used. Now coming to join in a process, multilateral, yes, but on Indian soil. And with in a context where some people have been accusing the Pakistan government, or rather the Pakistan military, which supports the government, General Bajwa, of being soft on India, not willing to defend Pakistan's integrity. How do we make sense of the politics of all this?
So many questions in there. First of all, I think I found it very un-Bilawal-like and very undiplomatic. Because when you see Bilawal, he's quite good with words. And what he did at the UN and, the kind of language he used, if I were to sort of use a little bit of Punjabi here, ये मैं नहीं बोलती, मेरे अंदर मेरा यार बोलदा. So I personally think he was put up to it, as usually our foreign ministers or defense ministers are put up to it. And I think even that sort of thing is usually meant for your domestic, for the gallery back home. So I think, I don't think there will be a repeat of that. And even though Murtaza did say that, SEO is a platform where you don't do bilateral stuff, but on the sidelines, there can be bilateral meetings, and I think there will be many. And I think Murtaza and I were talking a short while ago, but the one bilateral that will not be happening, or as we know right now, is the one between India and Pakistan. But that's not a very good thing. Murtaza was also saying that, because the political leadership of the two countries, it doesn't really suit them to do this right now, to show softening towards each other. I don't get it. I don't get that. Pakistan needs, and every country should need it as of yesterday. Who in the right mind would want to be surrounded by enemies? The spirit of the SEO is also like, you want to be integrated in the region, right? And here it is. Here are two neighbors. They're not just in the region, they're actually literally neighbors. And to not have bilateral talks and better relations makes absolutely no sense to me.
So
and the softness of General Bajwa is very, very understandable. Everybody and their aunt knows that now the world is a different place. I was speaking to you, I think, about China and the US. It is China's economic power with which it has now left or is leaving the US behind, or whatever it is. So I think General Bajwa also understood that, right? Everybody says the same thing. We're not going to fight a war with whatever, with weapons. And we're not talking about an economic war either, but everybody understands that to be able to do anything, you have to have a good economy. And I think that's what he was saying, essentially. And we're not going to get there by fighting wars.
So I want to take this to Murtaza first, Murtaza, politically, and let's break this down into two parts. One, this whole question of state policy, but the first of politics. Elections coming up in Pakistan at some point. We don't know when that is, because there is a fight between the judiciary and the executive, but elections coming up at some point. General elections coming up in India in the not too distant future. I assume neither side would want to, no Pakistani politician would want to appear soft on India ahead of an election. No Indian politician would want to appear soft on Pakistan ahead of an election. Do you think that more or less rules out the possibility of a political engagement for now? Or do you, as a political observer, think there will be some movement behind the scenes on issues like trade and so on?
The real bulls on both sides who have locked their horns in 3/4 of a century are also locked in engagement as we speak. So politicians are no politicians. I can assure you that there is an active engagement between the powerful interlocutors between Delhi and Islamabad, Rawalpindi, whatever you name it. So that has not been disconnected. When the political actors would sing the same song is yet to be determined. But I'm sure that time will come, and it will come soon. There is a realization in my part of the world that there is no appetite for wars or proxy wars. that's not good for us. We have learned our lessons, and the very fact that February 2021 engagement ended in ending the casualties on both sides of the border, be it LOC or working boundary, and that ceasefire has fairly sustained itself. I am somebody who is optimistic.
And before going to Gul, I'd just add from an Indian point of view that there's one more factor that's played out since that fire, which is that under General Bajwa, Pakistan could have, during the control crisis on the line of actual control with China, been a real nuisance for India if he juggled troops along the line of control, moved further troops towards Gilgit-Baltistan. He didn't. And that allowed India to move an entire strike corps away from the Pakistan border to face China. So probably some lessons drawn on the Indian side also saying, hey, stability doesn't just work for the Pakistanis, it works for us also. And I think you're bang on about the bull channel or the back channel or whatever you want to call it. But coming to the next part of this, Gul, we've seen two prominent Pakistani media personalities, Hamid Mir and Naseem Zehra, kind of turn around and say they were privy to a briefing where General Bajwa said something to the effect that he had to seek peace with India because he couldn't fight. We had a couple of comments from Imran Khan saying he would have liked to be more hawkish, but Bajwa wouldn't let him be more hawkish or constrained his autonomy. What do we make of this? I mean, is this just two journalists being indiscreet, or is there some sort of political game over here?
So I will actually, before we started the show, Murtaza had his thoughts on this as to what they did and why they did it. But I have 2 points to make before I let Murtaza explain it to you. One point is, I don't agree that ahead of an election, say Pakistan's leadership would not want to show softness. I think even the evidence is to the contrary. Nawaz Sharif was, his India policy has always been to, trade and make friendship and whatnot, and he's bloody popular, right? And the sooner the politicians understand that they do not need to sound Praetorian towards India to win an election, the better. Yeah?
Okay.
I don't think it hurts anyone's chances in elections. Pakistanis understand, I don't know about Indians, very well, that friendship with India will only help and not harm. So, and most Pakistanis, mind you. And as you know, there really has never been a people-to-people enmity anyway. Yeah? This was the Pakistan security establishment's need and their construct to justify themselves, right? This is not the politicians' need. And before I sort of let Murtaza take this two-anchor business, I am quite sure, though I was not there, but by accounts of several other anchors now, I do think that Hamid and Naseem put a spin on what happened over there. What actually happened from the other accounts is very much what the others are saying, that he was trying to say we have to move away from the, geostrategic to the geoeconomic and whatnot. And, the common sense stuff that everybody understands. But something made them put a spin on it to exactly what motive they had. I think Murtaza has an idea about it. You might have an idea.
Murtaza, what would your guessing be? Why did they say what they said? And what was actually said?
Well, just before this interaction of two senior journalists about General Bajwa and Imran and Shah Mahmood Qureshi, General Bajwa was reported in media talking to a Pakistani journalist off the record, quote unquote, where he reportedly said few unkind things about these two senior journalists.
So that's correct, and that was reported online in a journalist sort of telling of events, and so that's no beauty like a journalist scorn.
No, but exactly, ego.
Anyway, go on,
Yes.
Murtaza.
So to me, that sounds the motivation. Now, fast forward to what happened in that meeting that these two senior journalists were talking about. I have talked to people who were in that meeting. If you know General Bajwa, who has been army chief for good 6 years, his temperament is, in Punjabi they say, he's a khula dula admi. He's very open, frank, and candid. He is not the one who would measure every word he utters, and he would say things off the cuff. Now, somehow these two journalists somehow changed or distorted what he said.
Yeah.
He never said that we don't have diesel for our tanks. He never said that our equipment is not good enough. He never said that we are not in a position to fight a war if it's imposed on us. But he did say that it's not in our interest to go on a war path with India. We must normalize our relations with India, and we should find peaceful means of resolving our disputes in the better interest of this entire region. He has on record said many a times that countries don't develop, regions do. So let's help this region develop and sort out things. Now that's his
follow-up question to that. And a follow-up question to that. Hamid Mir's claim that there was almost a done deal on the peace track, and that Bajwa was pushing for Modi to come visit a temple in your part of the world, Hinglaj Mata temple. And, it was all done before Imran put his foot down, or somehow it all fell apart. Do you buy that story, or are you skeptical?
I also tried to find out what happened. My information is that this peace process, or track 2, was started by the joint collaborative effort of Islamabad and Rawalpindi. General Bajwa and Imran Khan were the movers of this effort, and it was conceived in collaboration with some regional players, including Gulf country leadership and some Western powers. So it was not out of thin air. It was not just General Bajwa's initiative. He, of course, signed on it because he personally believed in that, and he has said that many a times. And that's why that initiative took place when, in a Gulf country, the top officials of Pakistan and India met, and they revived this 2003 ceasefire agreement. And there were plans that Indian Prime Minister at some point will visit Pakistan. The trade will be revived. A summary was moved by the Commerce Ministry of Pakistan. At that time, Imran Khan himself retained that portfolio. So he was the Commerce Minister. But when these issues came in the cabinet, some hawks, including Shah Mahmood Qureshi and Shireen Mazari and some others, they somehow pressurized and threatened Imran Khan that PDM, the opposition alliance, will use it against him And that's how he chickened out. And that's how this whole process collapsed. So it's not factual that it was just Bajwa's plan, and Imran, being the true patriot, somehow woke up and said that, oh, I'm not letting this happen. That's the
Gul, do you think the sort of question that's periodically popped up now about whether General Asim Munir will want to continue with these policies General Bajwa crafted, or whether because of these dissensions that have been reported within the military leadership, whether he'll try and, craft out a different legacy for himself? Do you have a take on this, or is it too early to tell?
I think it's a bit early, but having said that, whatever one has seen of him, he seems like a sensible person, right? And given the fact that if he is a sensible person, then he will continue on this. He understands how important the economy is. That he says, we are too busy. You guys carry on, work on the economy. I'm not giving you any troops for an election because that's not what is important, right? So if he is, which I'm assuming by his actions, whatever he has done, I think he will continue on this, not because it's Bajwa's initiative or anything. This initiative has been taken so many times in the past, right? There have been attempts at peace by almost everyone, right? By Benazir, by Nawaz Sharif, by Musharraf, what have you. But I think it has become critical now, and therefore I think he will absolutely do that because it's not just a legacy that he might want to leave, but that is what Pakistan needs, right?
Right.
And
well, on that optimistic note, we're out of time. We'll be coming back to you both next week. And Murtaza, I hope we'll have the opportunity to talk as events unfold in Goa. You please do let
Hopefully
the
I will be. Hopefully I will be there.
We hope you'll be there. We have some recommendations from Pia Krishnankutti, our reporter, who will be covering events blow by blow on fun things to do in Goa. Young reporter, very fine reporter. And I, being older and wiser, will have some tips for you on things definitely not to do in Goa. But we'll be looking forward to speaking with both of you on this.
I will bring some earth soil from Goa and pour in the hair of Cyril Almeida.
Yes, the land of his ancestors. Thank you so much for making the time with this. We've had a few technical problems getting together this week's show. Thank you to our guests for their patience. And above all, thank you to all our viewers for watching Crosshairs again this week. See you again next weekend. Goodbye.
Thank you, Praveen. Bye-bye.